So here, the reckoning is the locust. So this is where my job's on. So I pray and I feel like God tells me what to preach a year in advance. So I picked this book about a year ago, not knowing we'd be doing all of this, And as I was preparing, I'm like, Lord, how do I take a book written at least 2,500 years ago, teach it to Americans, and the central character is the locust? How many of you didn't wake up today going, oh, locust? The number one problem I have, if I could get rid of anything, the locust. Let me teach you about the locust, because I know you're excited, and I'm here to help. So on the left, that's a locust. They have these serrated jaws. They eat everything. On the right is it's a swarm of locusts. Let me tell you a little bit about the locusts. They consume their weight in food every day. So they're like a teenage boy. Okay? In addition, a swarm of locusts can cover upwards of 400 miles. 1 square mile can have as many as 100 million locusts. A swarm of locusts can eat in one day what 40,000 people eat in a year. They're socialists. Do not interrupt. I am in a hurry. But no, thank you. So what happens after a locust eats everything? What do they need to do? They need to go to the bathroom. So where do they go to the bathroom? In the air. And now the air is just filled with all their excrement. So they're eating all your food, and then they're leaving their excrement in the air, and now you're breathing it, and everything is toxic, and the entire environment is polluted. If you're a germaphobe, worst case scenario. You ate my food and dumped in my air. So what happens then? The locusts leave. And you think, oh gosh, finally it's over. Before they leave something behind. Their eggs. And so just as soon as your crops start to bud again, the next generation of locusts is birthed. And they come right back, and they do it all over again and again and again. One female locust in 4 months could result in as many as 18 million new locusts. In the Bible, it does refer here to literal locusts, but sometimes it also uses the imagery for invading armies, because these would go together. The locusts would decimate a nation, and then enemy nations would invade them in their weakened state. And it probably refers to both in the book of Joel. So that being said, let me walk around the cul-de-sac, and I'll come back to the point. As we read this, how many of you are like, what do locusts have to do with me? So the only difference between us and the nation of Israel, we have taken out national debt and they did not. I'll prove it to you. Here's the national debt versus gross domestic product. Even if you don't believe in Jesus, just hang with me and believe in math. What this means is we're spending much more than we produce. The result is debt. So let me talk a little bit about this. Our national debt is now $35 trillion. Our interest payment annually on our debt is roughly $400 billion. Roughly 7% of all federal outlays goes to debt. That's $100 billion more dollars than veterans benefits and services, which is reprehensible, elementary and secondary education, disaster relief, agriculture, science and space programs, foreign aid, natural resources, and environmental protection combined. Just debt. The national debt is $100,000 for every man, woman, and child. The national debt is $250,000 for every taxpayer, because the majority of Americans don't pay taxes. They just consume resources. In addition, Americans have over $1 trillion in personal credit card debt. Of those who are 18 to 49 and have no child, Pew Research recently reported that 44% of those who do not have a child have no intention of ever having a child. So here's what that means. We're gonna rack up massive debt, and we're putting no people in the future to go to work so that we can tax them to pay off the debt. That is an inevitable economic reckoning. In addition, 42% of Americans are obese. So here, you ready? Here's the positive, uplifting, safe for the whole family verse of the day. Here we go. When you read Joel, locust, locust, locust. We're the locusts. We've eaten everything. And the locusts ate everything. And there was nothing for the future. We've eaten everything. There's nothing for the future. Hey, see, we can read this old book and say, boy, it doesn't speak to me. Or we can read this eternal book and say, it speaks about me.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Pastor Mark. I've been teaching the Bible for more than 3 decades and head on constant collisions with woke culture. And I would love to get you more Bible teaching. 2 things you can do. Go ahead and watch the sermon in total and also subscribe to the channel. And I'll just keep sending you Bible teaching and we'll have a lot more fun together.